What's up? If you found this video and you're new around here, then chances are that you're into Toyota off-road builds. And if that's the case, please consider subscribing because that's all we do here at Mountain Yotas, our shop that's located in Wheat Ridge, Colorado. We do a whole bunch of build breakdown videos on this channel where we talk about the parts cost, installation time and cost, plus taxes and your out the door total so that you're not surprised when you ask us for an estimate on your build. Now, we've already talked about a budget build with a Westcott kit and 35s on an LC250. We even checked out my wife's daily driver that has more proper suspension setup on it. And now today, we're gonna get into what it takes to get 38s and take your LC250 on some of the hardest trails in America. If you're not familiar with portal axles yet, number one, you've been living under a rock. Number two, it is gearboxes that go on the hubs of your vehicle that have 3.9 inches of lift and a 22% gear reduction. This is really beneficial because if you were to ask a lot of people who off-road, ground clearance is an extremely important factor to consider. We proved that point by taking this Land Cruiser on a 7 out of 10 difficulty trail with zero armor. There are no skid plates, there are no rock sliders, and there are no high clearance bumpers on this LC250 yet. There will be very soon, but we took this out and just wheeled the heck out of it on some gnarly trails in the snow. 74 Weld makes these portals in California. It's billet and beautiful. They are my favorite off-road mod for any Toyota, and I talk about them all the time because they really do deliver the most bang for your buck. That being said, they are expensive. It's a $17,000 item and it's a $3,000 installation. When you factor in the cost of freight, which is $450, and sales tax, you're out the door just under $22,000 to get portal axles installed on your vehicle. One of the major benefits of having portals is that the lift height comes from the portal boxes themselves. That means that you don't have to preload your shocks in order to get lift height and fit larger tires. Anytime you put additional preload, like on the front of coilovers to get lift height, you're actually eliminating the amount of potential travel that shock has. I'm happy to report that these 2.5-inch adjustable King shocks are at the minimal amount of preload, and it feels really good. I would recommend getting your shocks tuned if you're considering portal axles on your build, because you're adding quite a bit of unsprung weight to the ends of your axles. We address that by adding some resistance to the rebound. Basically, you have a whole bunch of weight hanging, and when that shock compresses, it's not a big deal. But when it comes back down, it's more weight than the shocks are designed to handle on the way down, so it does have a harsh effect without getting them tuned. If you know us, then it's no secret that we're building a suspension business, so we do shock tuning now at our new facility, and we'd be happy to help you address that as well. It's usually about $200 per corner. King coilovers in the front are $22.68, the rears are $14.40. We do have the King link extensions in here as well. That's your sway bar end links, and they're a little bit longer. That way your sway bar is not your limiting factor for travel. You gotta get these on the new gens, or do what I did and just eliminate your sway bar altogether. We also have Total Chaos upper control arms that are $11.59, and we match that up with Total Chaos rear links as well, which are $2,420. Another thing I'm gonna throw into the suspension line item here is cam tab gussets. If you're wheeling an IFS rig hard at all, then it's kind of a must to do cam tab gussets, so that way you're not spending money on an alignment every single time you go off-roading. Cam tab gussets are about $140, and we charge 4 hours of labor to get those installed. The rear links add about 2 hours of installation time on top of 6 hours for your normal suspension, and then we have to line it as well. So if you want this exact same suspension with tax, labor, parts out the door, you're looking at about $11,500. One of the most striking things about this build are the 38-inch by 1350 wide on 17-inch wheels Nittos Trail Grappler MT tires. These are going to run you just shy of $2,700 for 4 of them, and these wheels are Method's new 709 HD wheels. They're awesome. They come in a positive 25 offset, which is going to be important for your portal axle considerations. This offset is also going to be great for just a stock application or even a Westcott kit. On most portal builds, we'd recommend going with a positive 35 or a positive 45, but this thing looks so aggressive. The offset did cause us to have to do an excessive amount of trimming, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But what's really neat about these Method 709s is the impact ring that is a machined option that comes in several different colors. The wheels themselves are $400 each, and these rings are a retail cost of $69 a piece. So altogether, you're looking at about $1,700, $1,800 for the wheels, which means to run this exact wheel and tire setup with a mountain balance, which is 1 hour of labor, you're looking at a total cost of just shy of $5,900. One of my favorite things about this 250 build is that it's triple locked. So it came factory with a rear diff locker, a center lock, and now we added an ARB air locker to the front along with onboard air. Having a front locker is basically the same kind of functionality gain that you get from having two-wheel drive versus four-wheel drive. Adding a front locker to a vehicle that already has a rear locker, especially with a center lock on an all-wheel drive model like this, is just a massive upgrade in your functionality. Now, this whole video is obviously not going to be about lockers and what they are, but just so you know, in case you're wondering, a locker will make it so that 50% of power is sent to both wheels equally. An open diff means that one tire can spin freely, and because of the way it works mechanically, when you're off camber and one tire's up in the air when you're out rock crawling, that's the tire that gets sent the power, and the one that's on the ground that you would want to spin has no power being sent to it. When you lock the diff, both tires spin equally, and it's extremely beneficial. Now, the reason that open lockers are like that is because in every other situation, you don't want a locker on your differential, because, you know, the biggest obvious thing is that when you're turning, one wheel, your outside wheel, turns a lot faster than your inside wheel on turns. And if you have your locker engaged, or if you have a welded diff like a lot of the buggies do and vehicles out in Moab, you hear them chirping when they're turning. You hear that on the red rocks out in Moab all day. That's because their diffs are locked. So the cost of a locker is $1,300. And we also added an ARB twin to this build, which is a really solid compressor. It's just over $1,000. We put a compressor mount in here that's just shy of $400, added an ARB pump up kit. And when you include the cost of mounting the compressor, doing all the wiring for the compressor, and then doing all the plumbing and wiring for that front locker, you're looking at a total out the door of about $5,000. Lots of people love the power you get from hybrid vehicles, and these new gens are nothing short of really impressive when you're behind the wheel. But I will tell you, things like wiring become a little bit tricky. So we do a hybrid power relocate kit that we developed here in-house, which essentially just moves your battery terminals from the back of the vehicle to underneath the hood where you're used to seeing them. We have a mount that we build in-house here on our plasma table, and we bend it and just make it fit perfectly above the ABS module. And this not only brings your battery terminals to the front and underneath the hood in a nice convenient location, but the mount itself also serves as a platform to mount any of the major switch controllers. We charge $450 for these, and it's about a 4-hour installation, so it's just shy of $1,200 to have this done on your hybrid vehicle. I mentioned this wheel offset is not ideal, and 38s are pretty large as well, so we had to actually do a cab mount chop and some additional trimming. If you've looked at the wheel well of these new gen Toyotas, then you probably know that you can take a crash bar out, and that's the equivalent of doing a cab mount chop on any other gen Toyota, so you can just squeeze 35s under there really easily stock. But we had to go above and beyond just removing that crash bar on this because of the positive 25 offset and the 38-inch tires. So this is actually the first new gen that we've done a cab mount chop on, and Kyler did a great job. It looks fantastic, and there's plenty of room against the cab side inside this wheel well now. We charge 3 hours to do a cab mount chop. We cut the plates in-house, and it's just shy of $600 to have that done. I also had mentioned that we had to go above and beyond the level of trimming that we would normally do too. This is actually the first LC250 I've seen with what we would call a Viper cut. It's not really a traditional Viper cut because the front ends look so much different than the old gen stuff, but Kyler also did an incredible job making this Viper cut look amazing in the meantime of getting that front bumper done. There's a whole bunch of trimming done on this vehicle just to ensure that these tires clear properly. And one of the big things that we had to do was a washer tank relocate. Right now, while we're filming this video, clearly this thing doesn't have a rear bumper rock slider, skid plates, front bumper, but it's also missing the washer tank because this coming week, we're gonna be building that and squeezing it in where the old filler neck used to be. Now this is just an estimate, but for all the trimming, and then we're gonna TIG weld up a new aluminum washer tank and rebuild that, we're talking in the neighborhood of somewhere around 20 hours of additional labor to make sure that this thing clears properly for these tires, so you're not rubbing tires on body off-road. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Stapp Interstate Toyota and Steve Burt, the GM there, for trusting us with building this incredible LC250. I cannot wait to show you guys what it looks like when it has rock sliders, skid plates, and bumpers. And I just know Steve is going to wheel the heck out of this thing. It is a demonstration vehicle for their dealership. They are off-roaders. If you are interested in getting a Toyota and building it, I can't recommend going to Stapp Interstate Toyota enough. A lot of people are concerned about warranty work and what to do about getting even a lift kit or bigger tires because will the dealership say that it's not under warranty? Well, listen, these people are one of us, guys. So you can rest assured that they're not gonna mess around with weird warranty claims or anything that is outside the norm that doesn't make sense. We can build the truck. Stapp's gonna stand by their warranty via Toyota. And if that doesn't work, we warranty everything we do here at Mountain Yotas through and through. This is a small business. We have 15 people here. I am the owner of the business. I'm the founder of the business. So I wanna make sure you're happy and taken care of as well. So just rest assured, modifying these new gen Toyotas, you're not gonna have a problem with any warranty claims as long as it's through us. Stapp Interstate Toyota is a great place to be too if you're worried about the factory side. And again, I can't recommend going to Stapp enough. So altogether, we're at about $50,000 at this stage, and bumpers, rock sliders, armor, lighting, all sorts of other stuff to come in the future. This thing's gonna easily have another $25,000 to $35,000 put into it, and it's gonna be wheeled really hard. So what do you think? I don't think there's a better way to build a modern Toyota into an off-road machine that you can still drive coast to coast at highway speeds with all of the creature comforts and safety features like adaptive cruise control, lane departure assist, and then you got heated seats and a heated steering wheel. This is not a shitbox build by any means. It's basically a luxury crawler. I'm all about you DIYing a solid axle swap on like a 3rd gen 4Runner. I've got one myself chilling right here, a solid axle swap 3rd gen 4Runner. That's like my favorite vehicle. It's like a childhood dream of mine to have that exact rig. I am not against solid axle swaps by any means, but I will say this, it is a completely different thing. But what we proved with Steve from Stapp Interstate Toyota is that you can get really rowdy in something like this, and it doesn't even have armor yet. So imagine what Steve's gonna do once this thing is fully protected. I look forward to showing you guys all that in the future. Once again, please subscribe, like this video. It helps spread the word quite a bit, and I really appreciate you watching. Peace.